Hey guys, welcome to another preview video for the upcoming Magic the Gathering set Battlebond. Today is May 25th, 2018. We got a whole bunch of cards spoiled today. In fact, the remaining cards in the set, so this is a 250 plus card set, so we got a whole bunch of cards released today, over 100, so we are not going to talk about every single card released today, only because that would take literally all day and night. So I've chosen 3 of each color, 3 artifacts, and 3 multicolors to kind of highlight that were released today. And then next week we also have our upcoming pre-release guide to help you guys out to win more packs, to win more games of Magic during your pre-release. Remember, Battlebond releases on June 8th. That's just a few short weeks away, but most LGSs will actually have a pre-release of some sort, whether it's sponsored by Wizards or not. That will probably be the week before, which will be June 1st, so you've got a week until then. So this coming week, we'll talk about the best removal, we'll put together a video for the best combat tricks, and we'll also put a video together for best creatures. And then if the price is right, we will also put together one last video before you go into your pre-release on Friday for the best archetypes or worst archetypes, or at least give you an idea on what types of paths you can go down with based on what you open. We'll go through all those and just see what's supported and what's not. But without further ado, let's jump into this last bit of preview cards for this new set coming out very, very soon. First up, we have red, and just a few cards here that are a little on the pricey side, but kind of fun to play with. So Bull Rush Bruiser is 4 mana for a 4/3, 3 generic, 1 red, Minotaur Warrior at common, and when it attacks, if your team controls another warrior, it gains first strike until end of turn. So 4 damage to a creature on turn 4 it's not that bad, right? It's not the best, but if it has first strike, boom, 4 damage instantly. It kills a lot of things, it gets past a lot of things, and all you have to do is either you or your partner have a warrior on the battlefield other than the bruiser. So in the warrior decks, this is going to be where you're going to want to spend your turn 5. Next up, we've got Magmic Force. This is 8 mana. It's 5 generic, 3 red. It's a 7/7. It's an elemental rare. At the beginning of each upkeep, so that's your upkeep and your opponent's upkeep, it deals 3 damage to any target. So you can, get rid of some of the small things that are kind of chump blocking. You can deal it directly to your opponent's face. So this by itself represents a 3-turn clock. That's without being said, you didn't deal any damage prior to turn 8. So this is definitely a finisher for sure, but getting that extra 3 points of damage in every upkeep is a step above the rest. So a lot of fun to play with. Looking forward to cracking open 1 or 2, hoping to it is rare, so you're not going to get a bunch of them, but if you do, this definitely pulls you towards red. Next up is a great limited card. This is something you will play every copy of them that you open. Borderland Marauder. It's a 1/2 for 2 mana at the common level, and whenever it attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It's a 3/2 attacking on turn 3. You give this thing some type of evasion. This is going in your aggro deck. You are attacking and turning dudes sideways, or in this case, turning chicks sideways, and not looking back. So phenomenal card. Play it as much as you can. Next up, we have white. We have our first enchantment. This is Angelic Gift. It's 1 white, 1 generic. Enchanted creature. You get a draw card when Angelic Gift enters the battlefield, and enchant creature has flying. We talk a lot about different ways to give creatures evasion. This is the best kind of evasion, flying. And this has the best 3 words in the game, draw a card. So when you combine that with flying, you get a winning card. You put this on your best thing, whether it's early game, get in, a couple extra points of damage. This is definitely worth a card. And on top of that, it replaces itself. So, play, 2 or 3 of these at the most, especially if you're low on flying creatures. This is a great addition to any white deck, even splashable for white for sure. Lightwalker is next. This is a 2/1 for 1 red or 1 white, 1 generic human warrior at common. It has flying as long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it. So 2/1 for 2 is not very good. Dies to just about anything and everything. But there is a +1/+1 counter strategy in this set. And starting at turn 3, you can definitely get a +1/+1 counter on this thing. So at the end of the day, it's a great early play. Late game, if you've got a token producer or a counter producer, this is just an added bonus to give this thing flying. Or if you just want to tack on an angelic gift to it and give it flying as a 2/1, that's okay too. Obviously not the best scenario, but it's still possible to give it flying. Next up, we got Take Up Arms. This is 5 mana, which is 4 generic and 1 white for an instant at uncommon. Create 3 1/1 white warrior creature tokens. There's definitely a warrior theme in this set in multiple colors, and being able to drop 3 power, 3 toughness at instant speed. Maybe you're holding back for a counter spell, a bounce spell, something, and your opponent doesn't play into your trickery, and they just pass the turn. At the end of the turn, you can just drop this and be done with it. Next up, we have green Decorated Champions next. This is a 2/2 for 1 green, 1 generic elf warrior. So again, warrior themes matter. Whenever another warrior enters the battlefield under your team's control, put a +1/+1 counter on Decorated Champion. So this is great because you don't necessarily have to be playing warriors to get the benefit from this. You could be playing green and non-warriors, and your teammate, your partner, could play a warrior, and the champion would benefit from it. So at the end of the day, this is a 2/2 for 2 great card with upside all day long. It's in a supported class with warrior, so if both you and your partner are playing warriors, this just gets even better. The next up is a reprint. This is Feral Hydra. It's X and 1 green for a 0/0. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Great. You can pay 3 to put a +1/+1 counter on Feral Hydra. Any player may activate this ability. Now, originally, that's that last part. Any player may activate this ability. This card, I've never played in a two-headed giant, like a teammate setting. And to be honest with you, that any player may activate this ability really kind of has me excited because your partner can dump mana into this. This is a mana sink for both of you. You don't have to tap it. You can cast it. You can activate it multiple times. So yeah, if you have 3 mana and your partner has 3 mana, that's 2 +1/+1 counters. Late game when you've got that extra 6 mana laying around, you don't do anything with it at the end of your opponent's turn. Mana sink right here. Build this thing up huge. Next up is a 2/2 for 3 mana Death Toucher. This is Daggerback Basilisk. Not much to say here. Art is kind of funky, but the low cast cost Death Touch creatures are always great in my book, just because it holds off the game, especially for those green mages and those white mages that like to build up their board. This is a great threat for defense. Stops people from attacking, with more or less than 2 creatures. Again, just a great card you'll put in your deck. 2, maybe 3 at the most. It is common, so you're going to see a couple of these. So just be cautious. Next up, we have Black. Assassinate is a sorcery. Destroy target tapped creature for 3 mana. That's it. It's a removal spell. It's great removal. It's at common. All you gotta do is tap, take down their tapped creature. So obviously you've taken some damage from it because it's tapped. Or there is ways in white and in blue, I believe, to tap down creatures in this set. So if you've got a couple ways to tap down creatures, you can take full advantage and just go ahead and assassinate it. Grotesque Mutilation is next. This is a great card all the way back from Innistrad. Was great back then, is great now, especially in Limited. 2 mana, instant speed, +3/+1, and gains lifelink until in a turn. This is great on the offensive. This is great on the defensive. This is a great finisher. You know, you attack in with your 3/3 and they're at 6, and they're, you know, they don't block it because they want to hit you on the kickback. Drop this mutilation on your creature and deal lethal damage. So just a fun card to play with, always something to be cautious of. Next up, we've got an elemental. It's a 7/7 for 3 mana. That's 2 black and 1 generic. When it enters the battlefield, choose an opponent, and it gets -1/-1 for each card in that chosen opponent's hand. So obviously, like turn 3, this probably isn't the best spell to cast in limited. You're probably looking at dropping, you know, down to a 2/2, a 3/3 possibly. Late game, however, you know, waiting till turn 5 or 6 when your opponent has emptied his or her hand, or maybe you have a way to empty your opponent's hand. This is a way to kind of get the leg up on the situation. Granted, it doesn't have any type of evasion or bonus or any kind of combat tricks in there. But, you know, a 7/7 on turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 could definitely be beneficial. Now, keep in mind, it says it gets -1/-1 for each card in the chosen player's hand. So that is ever going, right? So it's not -1/-1 counters. It's not, you know, -1/-1 until the end of the turn. It's continuously. So if you play this on turn 3, and let's say they have 3 cards in their hand, right? It's going to be a 4/4, and then let's say they draw a card next turn and play a card, so they'll be down to 2, so now it's a 5/5. It's going to constantly be changing based on what your opponent has. So, you know, by all means, drop this on turn 3, and then let them play their hand out, and then turn 4, use your discard spells, right? Because the discard spells on turn 4 or 5 are much better than discard spells on turn 2, just by sheer fact of what they're holding in their hand tends to be a little bit more valuable because it's either A, costs more, or B, you haven't played something that they can interact with yet. So, good cards. Next up, we have blue. Our first blue card is an instance called Call to Heal. It is 1 blue, 1 generic for an uncommon. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Its controller draws a card. So, this card would be terrible if you're playing by yourself, right? It's one-way bounce. That's it, right? You can only bounce your stuff. You don't want to be giving your opponent draw card. You don't want to give them cards. That's bad. But in Two-Headed Giant, this is a much stronger card because you can A, bounce your stuff, draw a card, or B, bounce your partner's stuff and have them draw a card. With all the enter the battlefield effects, you know, in all of the colors, it's not just 2 or 3 colors. Every color has enter the battlefield effects in this set. This is going to be a phenomenal card. Just being able to draw a card and get that extra enter the battlefield effect is worth a card by itself. Not to mention, if you use this defensively and save your card, right? Say if they destroy target creature, you say, well, in response to that, I'm going to, you know, Call to Heal, bouncing it to my hand, and I'm going to draw a card. And then I'm going to go ahead and play it next turn and get the enter the battlefield effect again. That's like perfect Christmas land. But the ceiling and the floor are very close together with this thing. You know, in a pinch, you could bounce your opponent's creature to your hand. Like, let's say they have a creature with like 4 or 5 enchantments on it, and you're facing down lethal. Of course, you would let them draw a card to get rid of all that stuff, right? So, you know, the setup cost is just a little bit higher when you're being on the offensive and attacking a player with this card, but totally defensive and totally, you know, passive with this thing even. So, next up is another reprint. This is a favorite card of mine from back in the day. Phantom Warrior is a 2/2 for 3 mana, 2 blue, 1 generic. It's a illusion warrior, and it just can't be blocked. So it's low cost clock. Yeah, it's 2 damage a turn, but it can't be blocked. So it's, you know, it's going to benefit from those auras and the plus, you know, like the mutilations of the set. You know, the +3/+1 unblockable. that's nothing to cough at. That's definitely a worthwhile investment. It's not Invisible Stalker, with the unblockable and hexproof, but it's a pretty strong card. So next up we've got Nimbus Champion. This is a 4/4 for 1 blue, 5 generic flyer. It's a warrior itself at uncommon. When it attacks, you may return target creature to its owner's hand if that creature's power is less than or equal to the number of warriors your team controls. So again, like I said, it seems like there's a lot of warrior synergies in multiple colors, and this card, it has that magical word teams on there. Your team's control, right? So not just yours, not just your partners, but both of you. So if you're in blue, you don't necessarily have to be in a warrior deck. If your partner is in warriors, this is a benefit to you. So when you're building your deck, when you and your partner are building your decks and you're like, man, we've got all these, we've got 3 colors of warriors that are strong or whatever. Or maybe we have 2 colors of warriors and we've got like this Nimbus Champion and really, I wish I could play blue, but I can't. Have your partner put it in their blue deck, right? Well, what kind of blue cards do you have? Are you going to be able to play blue? Because you could benefit from this, even if I'm the one playing warriors. So, at the end of the day, great card. Definitely pushes you into that warrior archetype. It's uncommon, so you're not going to see a lot of them. But if you open 1 or 2 of them, you might consider playing them. Next up is our gold cards. Unflinching Courage is first up. This card was fantastic to play the first go around. Really love putting it on. I mean, again, auras are going to be a strong feature in this set, I believe. Even with the removal suite that it has, there's still some pretty powerful ones in there, and there's some creatures that really benefit from having enchantments and auras put on top of them. So the Courage is 1 green, 1 white, 1 generic for an uncommon aura. You put it on a creature, it gets +2/+2 and trample and lifelink. So yeah, +2/+2, trample and lifelink. So not only is it good attacking, it's good blocking. It's got a buff to its defense and its attack and its power. All around fantastic card. You'll play 2 or 3 of them if you're in those colors. If you're not in those colors, let's say you're in white, black, you might consider splashing green for this, right? I mean, because you're not going to play it on turn 3. Right, there's a couple 2 drops that are in the rare and uncommon slot that would be worth putting this on, but you're really looking to put this on. I don't know. Let's say your Apocalypse Hydra, because your Apocalypse Hydra is a 0/0 red-green X Hydra at rare. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. If X is 5 or more, it enters the battlefield with an additional X +1/+1 counters. So the way that reads is, if you pay 5 for X, so 7 total, it's a 10/10. It has 10 5/5 counters on it. 10 +1/+1 counters on it. Getting that +2/+2 trample and lifelink is pretty much game ending, right? So if you're in red-green and you open up Apocalypse Hydra, you might want to consider splashing white to add Unflinching Courage. Just a thought. The Hydra also has an additional activated ability. It's 1 generic, 1 red. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Apocalypse Hydra, and it deals 1 damage to any target. Creature, player, planeswalker, whatever. 1 damage, 2 mana, remove a +1/+1 counter. So yeah. Urborg Drake is next. This card just looks like a lot of fun to play with. It's a 1 generic, 1 blue, 1 black flying Drake, and it just attacks every turn, each combat if able, right? It's in the air. You're going to be turning it sideways and limited anyway, so you might as well, get on board and just let it do its thing. So, yeah. That is Urborg Drake. Looking forward to playing with it for sure. And last up, we've got some fun artifacts for us casual players and the Commander players alike. Calling Diaz is 2 generic mana for mythic, uncommon. I said every rarity there. Did you see that? Every rarity, mythic, rare, uncommon, common. It is an uncommon. In fact, an uncommon. Tap it, sacrifice creature, put a charge counter on the dais. You can pay 1 generic, sacrifice it, and draw a card for each counter on it. So this card is great in a couple different archetypes. The main one is going to be your warriors, only specifically your warrior token decks, because there's enough warrior creating engines out there that you're going to be able to draw additional cards off it. So, like the call to arms and things like that, being able to block with, chump block and then tap this and sacrifice it and put a counter on it. That's kind of like the coup de grace of this card. Basically turning those tokens, those, third of cards into a full card of card draw. Pierce Strider's next. It's a 3/3 for 4 mana. Doesn't sound great. It's a common, but when it enters the battlefield, you basically bolt one of your opponents for 3, which, everybody would play that, right? You would play 3 mana 3/3 that you could pay 1 red or 1 generic and bolt either opponent. You could bolt somebody. Obviously, you can't target a creature with this, but paying 1 colorless to deal 3 damage to a player that's amazing. Like anybody, you would put that in any deck, right? And if I told you, like, hey, let's add a 3/3 for 3 generic mana, you'd add that to your deck. So this is a really good card, it's worth the 4 mana for sure. On face value, doesn't quite look like it, and yeah, it's boring, but that 3 damage, that's not insignificant. Spectral Searchlight is next. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact at uncommon. You can tap it, choose a player. That player adds 1 mana of any color of their choice. So with all the splash ability, the warriors in multiple colors, and the benefits for players playing in a 3rd color, this is a great card to kind of smooth out your mana, give you access to a couple different cards if you open up a couple of these. Obviously, they're at uncommon, so you're not going to see a ton of them. But if you're playing Two-Headed Giant, you're opening up 12 packs of cards. That's enough commons and uncommons enough commons that you're going to get. Let's see here. You're going to have 36. So it's good. I mean, if you get 2 or 3 of them, throw them in your deck if you're looking to splash a color. If you're not looking to splash a color, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. There's not enough multicolored abilities in this set that you have to dig too far. So if you're looking to splash that 3rd color, this card is definitely worth a look. So all right, guys. Well, that is our video for today. We really do appreciate you watching. Make sure you get subscribed to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/72DPI online. We really do appreciate it. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think about the set. Now that we have every card spoiled, every card previewed, kind of looking at the set, and I'm really excited. The Warriors are definitely they are there in full force. It's going to be fun seeing the a class-based system like that kind of clashing against each other, where there's multiple colors of these creature types. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you check out our Magic podcast. That's the Mana Drain. It goes live every Monday evening over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/72DPI. online. Wouldn't mind a follow there or a subscription there. Really do appreciate that, and all of your guys' feedback as well as your support. And you guys have a great night, and we will see you in the next video.